It is a gorgeous 77-degree afternoon in Fort Worth, Texas, as the NASCAR Nationwide Series goes back to work after its 2-week spring break. The action resuming at one of the sport's fastest tracks. It's qualifying on the mile-and-a-half Texas Motor Speedway. And welcome to ESPN's season-long coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Alan Bestwick with the Hall of Famer Rusty Wallace and champion crew chief Andy Petrie. How fast is it? Well, this is indeed one of the Nationwide Series' fastest tracks. When you look at qualifying speeds from last year's time trials, 2 of the top 4 laps were laid down here. That's a big challenge for the drivers,
Alan,
Rusty.
it really is. This is a really fast racetrack. There's no doubt about that. In fact, this afternoon, I walked down to the infield and talked to a lot of the drivers, and they said, Rusty, if you're going to grab the pole position here and qualify good, you got to never lift off the throttle. You got to run wide open every single lap. So I'll tell you, that's going to be a tough challenge.
Yeah, and 12 out of the last 24 winners have come from the first 2 rows. So starting up front, very important here at Texas, but you can't give away that race setup to try to get that fast qualifying lap, and that's very important too. This is an impound race, so these guys got to go out there and make a fast lap, the fastest they can on the race setup.
So if you're going to win, you got to start up front. If you're going to start up front, you got to run flat out through the corners, and you got to outrun a very tough field. With more on that, here's Vince Welch.
That's right, Alan. If series points leader Sam Hornish Jr. is to win his 2nd race of the season here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway, he's going to have to beat a stout field to do it. Not only the outstanding nationwide drivers who are in this race with qualifying today and the race tonight, but also 16 double-duty drivers that will be running in the Cup Series in this race tomorrow night. Guys like Dale Jr., Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, and of course Kyle Busch, who has already won 3 times this season. The last 9 winners here at Texas in the nationwide race have come from a top 10 starting position. So if you're going to win here, you better be fast right now in qualifying. Let's go to Jamie Little.
And another one of the stars in the field is Travis Pastrana as they push his car to the line right here. Now, despite never racing here at Texas Motor Speedway, he's feeling pretty optimistic. That's because during this 2-week break, he went to Kansas Motor Speedway and he tested with his teammates, including Carl Edwards, who got behind the wheel of his car, helped him dial in some things about this car, so much so that yesterday when he got behind the wheel, he was up to speed on the 2nd lap, and he said that alone was all the confidence in the world for him. Travis Pastrana in this beautifully decorated Star Spangled Banner car. Hard to miss him here in qualifying, Alan.
Yeah, Jamie, as they get that red, white, and blue pushed to the grid, Travis will climb aboard shortly as the cars roll for qualifying at Texas.
NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying is brought to you by the Principal Financial Group. The Principal Financial Group can help build, grow, and protect your financial future.
Look at that beautiful blue sky. Hard to believe it was like 42 degrees here on Wednesday, but it is 77 degrees right now as we get ready for NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying to set the starting field for tonight's 300-miler that you will see starting at 8 Eastern Time from the Great American Speedway. 45 cars to take 2 laps on the clock. The order determined by the combined speeds of the first practice session last night and the second practice session this morning. Slowest to fastest, first car out, Juan Carlos Bloom, the 18-year-old from Guadalajara, Mexico.
He's had 5 starts, 5 NASCAR starts, and 5 mini-stock wins in Mexico. Way different type of car than these nationwide cars, so he's got a big chore ahead of him here at this super fast Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, he was sick the last race at Bristol. Scott Riggs filled in, finished 20th.
Now, a couple things to watch for at this racetrack. If you notice when that car was going through the center of turns 1 and 2, it kind of looked like it was hopping up and down a little bit. Well, they'll be hopping up and down at high speed.
They really will. Actually, I took a pace car out this afternoon, Alan. Went through turn 1 and 2. Ricky Craven and myself did. And I was really amazed how bumpy it was right in the middle of 1 and 2 there, Andy. Down low, it wasn't near as bad, but up high, it got bumpier yet. So there's a big bump about halfway up. And we've seen in the past how that bump can really upset the drivers.
That's right about where the tunnel is, where they come into the infield. And we've seen that be a problem here at Texas before, and I think they've gone in there and done some things in the past to try to help that. But it's still there. It's still a big bump that you have to negotiate and set the car up for.
Another thing to watch for is where the drivers put the car on the track in the middle of the corners during their qualifying laps to see which turns out to be the faster. A third thing to watch for, weather conditions. Talked about a practice being held last evening, another one being held this morning. Here's qualifying in the middle of the afternoon. Oh, and by the way, they have to be optimized setup-wise for the finish of the race later on tonight.
Yeah, you can see tonight we're expecting the air temp to be 61 degrees and that track temp to be a lot lower than what we've seen in any of the practice sessions. So a lot of the teams are trying to predict what that's going to do to their cars and try to get them set up. And then they have to make this fast lap with that setup.
A little shuffle in the roster for this weekend. This is Jason White aboard the 27 car. He has been driving the 00. Michael McDowell will be in the 00. Michael had made a couple of runs in this 27 car. That's why you keep your lineup sheet with pencil.
I'm following you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Jason's first lap will be the first of his two, 31:23. Jason is one of the drivers who has to make the field on his time trial speed. Does not have one of the guaranteed starting spots by being in the top of the owners' standings.
You know what, that's not a good lap at all. He is almost 2 seconds off the fastest lap time that we saw in the Nationwide Series here today. So he's got to keep his fingers crossed and hope that this hotter track and a slower track than what I've seen in practice is going to get him in this race.
Here is Kevin LePage. Good to see Kevin back in the Nationwide Series garage this morning. Trying to race his way into the field for tonight's race.
That tracker showed him 0.4 of a second faster than Jason White. He does that. He's first one in the 30-second bracket at 30:80.803.
Something we'll probably see a lot of in this qualifying session. One lap and done. Not even taking the second. Tires and tire fall off will be a topic of discussion tonight, as will the caliber of the field going to compete here in Texas. Matt Kenseth, one of the many stars who are going to line up and race tonight. Texas Motor Speedway, where the NASCAR Nationwide Series goes racing for 300 miles tonight. What a terrific race we had last year. Denny Hamlin, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Paul Menard slugging it out in the final laps of the race. And we've got another great field set to go tonight. 8 Eastern time on ESPN2 from here at the Great American Speedway. Texan Robert Richardson has just finished his qualifying laps. Robert from McKinney, Texas, and has pushed himself in 4th position out of 5 right now, though he is guaranteed a spot in the race. 31:41 for Robert. And Josh Wise ran while we were away in the break. Josh to the top of the board. 2nd of his 2 laps, being the faster at a 30:61. That's 176.4 miles an hour for Josh Wise. Next up is the Iowan Joey Gase. First of Joey's 2 laps, and he's one of the drivers that must qualify on time. Is a 30:82 for Joey, 175.1 miles an hour.
He didn't qualify at Daytona or Bristol. He had an accident in practice at Bristol and didn't have a backup car.
I watched him quite a bit last year. He's out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. He's a good little young racer, real aggressive. I talked to him quite a bit, and boy, I tell you, he wants it bad. He wants to get out there running this Nationwide Series. And
it's hard, isn't it?
It is hard.
Trying to get that toehold in the business is so hard. Watch this car hopping around. We're talking about those bumps in turn 2 and at the exit of turn number 2, and this car was just hopping all over the place, and you've got to keep your foot in the gas through that.
Yeah, and that's tough. It's really tough to get the car set up for that, too. You can see Joey's car has a little bit more roll than you would like to see there, and it takes a really good shock package to be able to handle those kind of bumps.
Chase Miller on the track now in the 46. Blake Cook in the 24 car was supposed to have run already. They were not at the line at their appointed time. They were put on the 5-minute clock by NASCAR, but it looks like they're going to make it as the car is out on pit road and being pushed to the front of the line.
I'll tell you what, as a driver, talk about a sickening feeling. Your car's not up there on pit road. You got 46 cars here today. You can miss this race if you don't get up there and qualify.
Well, you want to talk about a sick feeling? How about the crew chief and the guys that are having to get it through tech?
Oh, yeah.
That's the hard part.
And the drivers are going, what do? You're the crew chief. How'd you mess this deal up on me?
Yeah, I think Blake Cook's got a guaranteed starting spot, so at least he doesn't have to worry about that, but he wants to get a qualifying run in.
And at a fast track, you want to make sure you got everything buttoned up on that car before you send the driver out there in it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and then you say your heart rate's running, you're all jacked up, and you say, oh, by the way, go out to run wide open.
Yeah, don't lift at all.
Chase Miller, fourth fastest, one of those that has to qualify on time, not locked in yet, as we have 45 drivers here for just 40 starting spots in the field. Well, Blake is buckled aboard his number 24 Toyota. He'll be out on the track when we come back to Texas. NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying, being headed by Josh Wise. Scott Riggs ran the second fastest lap so far while we were in the break. There is Scott, a little better than 175.4 miles an hour. Jeffrey Earnhardt, who's going to drive for the family team. And the next race at Richmond, out in this 79 car. See qualifying fifth fastest at the moment out of 9 drivers. And Blake Cook is on the racetrack in the 24 car after missing his spot earlier. The report from pit road is no specific problem. They didn't get through tech the first time. They had to go back around.
And that's a long way around, too. I mean, you got to go from the front of the pack through tech to the back of the pack. And that's a lot of pressure on a driver because he's all rushed. He's not calm, and he's got to get in that car and do it.
Yeah, this is an interesting partnership. He's got Compassion Racing on this car. This is a partnership that he is trying to help kids in poverty, to provide them with meals and some things that they're trying to get NASCAR race fans behind. And this is a neat little partnership for Blake Cook.
Another one of these young guys with all the desire to make it in this business and working hard to try and make that happen.
Blake's a good driver.
Fourth fastest out of 10. 30.81 for Blake Cook. Weights out to a little bit better than 175.2 miles an hour. 2000 Series champ Jeff Green is on track now. A little bit better on the green side of that graph for the moment.
He's got a lot of talent. Talk about championship. He was a 2000 NASCAR Nationwide Series champion, like you said. He likes this racetrack. He likes running around here, and he's a good qualifier, too.
And you see just by the graph how good he got off turn 4.
Yeah. Top of the board. Jeff, one of those guys not guaranteed a spot in the race. I think he's in pretty fair shape there.
That'll make you stand on a little harder, won't it, Rusty?
You're not guaranteed the race. I mean, it'll make you get up on the wheel. No doubt about that, Andy. A lot of pressure there.
Looks like he got all there was on the first lap, though. See our tracker in the red on the second lap.
Tire fall off. Mentioned it earlier, right?
Yeah, these tires are really only good for about one good lap, and then they start building heat and losing speed.
Yeah, let's not say that they're bad after that first lap. They just start losing speed. So Jeff Green, new leader in qualifying, and has locked himself into the field for tonight's race. Michael McDowell behind the wheel of the 00 on the track now. Of course, you can't come to Texas.
I got to look away almost every time. This is a savage impact.
That was in Cup qualifying a few years back. I think Michael's come to expect by now that video is going to be seen when we come here to Texas.
Yeah, I remember that was the new car of tomorrow, they called it back then, and boy, everybody questioned the safety of it, but they found out right there that car was really safe compared to the older car we used to have. That big flip, he walks away from that thing, and like you said, Andy, it was really scary to watch that.
Now, Michael and this team have struggled with this car. He had a mechanical problem this morning where one of the lines that
broke, like the sway bar, shock, something's not hooked up.
So you can see something in the way that car went through the corner. It had a ton of roll in it, like maybe a sway bar came loose. Michael not able to make a real decent lap at all.
So that's 2 saves for Michael. This morning in practice, they had a line that feeds the coolant grease lubricant to the rear end gear, brake, and threw grease down on the track under him while he was driving.
Well, it made a big mess. It took a long time for the NASCAR people to get it cleaned up so they could start practice back.
I came in, I went in the garage to talk to Michael and his crew chief, Gene Need, and he said, "Did you see that? That was a save." And I said, "Well, I didn't see it, but I believe you."
I'll tell you what I did see was about 15 cleanup trucks out there cleaning this track, like you said, Andy, because that oil was all over this racetrack this morning. What a mess that was.
Now, McDowell not guaranteed a starting spot in the race, and he's next to last on the time trial board right now, so probably not going to be in the field. for tonight's race. Eric McClure on the track is guaranteed a spot. 17th in the championship right now. And Eric is going to be 10th out of 13 on his first lap.
You know, we went out there earlier, Alan. Ricky Craven and myself drove the track, and I was amazed how I personally thought the racetrack was real slick. It had black marks all over it, and we talked earlier about the temperature of the track. It's definitely hotter right now than it's been when these guys were on the track. This is a handful trying to get one of these cars qualified now and run wide open under those conditions, Andy.
It's tough to get a car that a driver can do that too. I mean, it's like I said, it's an impound race. It's hard to get that qualifying setup to do what you want to do for one fast lap.
Well, Eric McClure's first lap going to be the better of them. 10th out of 13 so far. Some of the heavy hitters walking toward the grid. Kevin Harvick and Casey Kane coming up here at Texas. This week's NBA Sunday Showcase on ABC is a rematch of the game that ended Miami's historic win streak. LeBron James leads the Heat against Carlos Boozer and the Bulls. It's the NBA Sunday Showcase on ABC. Coverage tips off with Kia NBA Countdown at 12:30 Eastern. Nationwide Series qualifying ongoing from Texas Motor Speedway. The 92 car, Dexter Stacy, has put himself into the field with a lap that is fourth fastest at the moment, 30:39 for Stacy. It's 177.6 miles an hour. The numbers beginning to climb. Mike Wallace, hard to think that Mike had to qualify on time for this race, but they've had such a tough start to the season. He does, and he did. Locked himself in with the second fastest lap so far. Nice job for younger brother, Mike Wallace.
I'm happy for him.
And the man who's now at the top of the board is Front Row Joe.
Front row for now.
Got that nickname because he's one of the best qualifiers out there for a long, long time. We know we've been talking about some of these new drivers saying, oh, it's his first start, it's his second start. How about Joe? 396 NASCAR nationwide starts. He's been around for a while.
Knows how to get it done. Top of the board for now is Joe Nemechek. Well, he was. But in this knockout style of qualifying, it's probably not going to last long. In fact, young Jeremy Clements has just gone to the #1 spot. Clements making his second lap. First one, 179.4 miles an hour. Be a touch slower on the second lap, but Jeremy Clements in the field for tonight's race. A very nice run. Michael McDowell probably not in the field for tonight. Let's see if we can find out what happened, Jamie.
Well, he certainly had some major issues on that qualifying lap. What did you feel and hear? It was very interesting listening to you talk to your crew chief there.
Yeah, I'm not really sure we'll have to get back, but just went down in turn 1, had a bad vibration, car wouldn't turn. So I'm fortunate for everyone at SR2 Motorsports. We had HoovyTheMovie.com on this weekend and Echo Light Studios, just trying to help these guys get the program better. And obviously today we had a hard day. We had to practice, had a gear failure, and there I'm not sure what broke, but definitely something broke. Not what we were looking for.
All right, thanks, Michael McDowell. Right now, 16th out of 17 on the board, Alan.
All right, Jamie, thanks. Hal Martin on the clocks, 44 car, the young driver from Louisiana, 27-year-old. Talked to Hal this morning in the garage area. He said this is the first track we've come to this season that I raced at before in the Nationwide Series. Came here last November. I said first time this year. He said it made the world of difference when they came in the gate and started practice.
Oh, the second time around, boy, every time you come back to the track for the second time, you understand it a lot better. I'll tell you, he's got some pretty good credentials, though. He was the late model track champion at Mobile International Raceway, and those type of racetracks, Alan, are where a lot of these guys started at. So he won that championship. That's pretty big time.
Another one that wants it bad. Second lap a little faster for Hal, 6th out of 18 at the moment. NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying still with plenty to go. Drivers signing autographs making their way to the grid like Travis Pastrana. Texas Motor Speedway NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying ongoing with Casey Kane on the track in the 5. Is it the flying 5? And did he keep that right foot all the way on the floorboard?
He's looking pretty good right now. That tracker is getting way up there.
I'd say that's a yes.
Yeah, I said yes, he's been pretty hard into the throttle. It's going to be hard for me to believe that they can run wide open around here, though. as slick as this track is right now.
Actually, he used a lot of racetrack right there in the middle of 3 and 4 and coming off of turn 4, but he carried the speed. He didn't have to get out of the throttle.
New fast time. 181.135 miles an hour for Kasey Kahne, top of the board.
He's top of the board. Yeah, right now, but that would have been 20th quickest in practice. That's how slow this track is now.
We'll find out. A lot more cars still to come. While we were in the break, J.J. Yaley ran in the 42 car. You see the numbers on J.J., 10th out of 21. And Reed Sorensen continuing to sub for Michael Annett in the Richard Petty Motorsports 43. Reed now 3rd on the board. Good to see Michael Annett down in the garage area. Talked with him a little bit this morning, hoping to be able to get back behind the wheel of that car very soon as he continues the recuperation from the injury he suffered in that awful crash at Daytona late in the race in February. So Kasey Kahne top of the board now. Here is Jamie Dick in the 55. The 24-year-old. They're going to run at it, but has got some work left to do. Has a 1 past start in the Nationwide Series here at this track. And for a guy that needed to race his way in on time, mission accomplished.
Yeah, he's already locked in with that first lap. He's trying to get a little bit more here on the second lap, but it looks like he might be a little bit off here on the back straightaway. You see the gap in the tracker. Just not much that these tires can do for you on the second lap. If you've gotten a decent first lap, it's going to be real hard to improve on it.
Shut it down, save the fuel.
Yeah, and the tires.
8th out of 22, but more importantly, locked in to the show for tonight's 300-miler for Jamie Dick. Well done. So 22 down, 23 to go. And the number on top of the board is 5 for Kasey Kahne as he climbs out of that Chevrolet with, for now, the fastest lap in qualifying. Here's Brian Scott in the deuce.
He's only 23rd quickest in practice. That was kind of a surprise to me. He had a little faster than that. They've had a pretty good start to the year. Had fast cars every week. Got a decent lap here, though. 29.99, gets down below that 32nd bracket. And he will just run the 1 lap.
All right, Brian Scott second in the 2 at 180 miles an hour and change as we check in with Vince.
Standing by with Travis Pastrana, a couple of top 10s this year. You'd not been to Texas Motor Speedway before, but then you guys came and tested here. How did that benefit you as you prepared for today?
We didn't get to test here, but I tell you what, I was in desperate need of finding a little bit of speed. So our week off, what's up, Brian? We went and had all the guys. It was really cool. Carl Edwards really helped. Stenhouse, Trevor Bain found some speed. So hopefully it'll relate to here. I got to go jump in my car now. But
yeah, tested at Kansas, as he said. Let me stand corrected there. Let's go to Jamie.
And Kasey Kahne talking things over with his crew chief. The times have certainly slowed down quite a bit as we saw, but that wasn't going to stop Kasey Kahne. He's still debriefing, though. Doesn't look thrilled with how the car handled. We'll give him a minute to talk to his crew chief, and Alan will come back down when he's ready.
All right, Jamie, thanks. And speaking of crew chiefs, there is a developing story on the Roush Fenway Racing cars for this race, 2 of them anyway. Here's Chris Buescher, the young Texas native, looking to make just his 4th Nationwide Series start. Certainly impressive last time out with that 7th place run at Bristol when we saw him aboard this car. The crew chief for Trevor Bain in the 6, Mike Kelly, is feeling ill. So Seth Barber, the engineer normally on that 6 car, who's been serving as crew chief when they've run this 16 in the Nationwide Series this year, he's going to crew chief Trevor Bain tonight. And Robbie Reiser is going to be on top of the pit box for Chris Buescher as they shuffle things around. And we wish Mike Kelly a speedy recovery. Hope he feels better soon.
There's Seth right there. And Robbie Reiser, that's a pretty good choice. I mean, that guy is the man. I mean, so many years with Matt Kenseth. Kenseth, so much success with him.
Yep.
Chris Buescher should love that choice right there.
And of course, Robbie now general manager back at Roush Fenway Racing and responsible for the car building and overseeing the overall operation back there. So he'll be on top of a pit box tonight. All right, Jamie, Casey has finished the debrief.
Yes, he has finished the debrief and climbed over the wall to talk to us. So you guys were in deep discussion there, Casey. What'd you think about that run? What'd you tell him?
Well, just that we went too far we over-adjusted. We were kind of wasn't turning real good in practice, and then we went even further there for qualifying. So I just told him I was sorry for not trying out, just trying to get it a little better. We just missed it there. We were just tight, and hopefully it'd still be a top 10, and we can go forward with our great Clip Chevrolet in the race and kind of see this place will loosen up tonight. So it'll be interesting how the track changes.
Definitely. And Casey Kane right now, though, top of the board still, Alan.
And we talked about, Jamie, thanks, how important it is to start up front here if you want to have a chance to win. So we'll see how far back Casey may slide in that 5 car. Lineup change this week in this 4 machine. Landon Castle now aboard this car, 6th fastest, locking himself into the race for tonight. And we'll see Landon a lot in this machine for the rest of the season in the Nationwide Series.
Yeah, I talked to some of the guys, and they say that he's really sharp with these race cars. That they think that he can help Johnny Davis and that whole team with both of these cars, make the cars better. They were really kind of surprised at how much knowledge he has. He does a lot of testing for a lot of Cup teams, and so he's got a lot of knowledge about the race car.
He got a lot out of that car, that 4 car. Castle did a great job qualifying that thing.
And just to finish up, as we watch Kevin Harvick on the clock now, Landon had been helping Darrell Haar with that machine a couple of weeks ago at California, at the Auto Club Speedway, helping him dial the machine in and so on. And that's, I think, how that relationship between Landon and the team began to take shape.
So he helped Darrell, and he got Darrell's ride.
This guy knows a lot. Well, Danny Eflin was supposed to drive that car in most of the races this year.
Harvick runs a pretty fast lap, 29.572.
Here's a guy that a lot of people are picking to win this race tonight, Kevin Harvick. He's won here before. He loves this place.
You picking him?
I'm actually not going to pick him tonight. I'm not going to tell you who I'm going to pick until you ask me.
We'll save that for later on NASCAR Countdown.
Maybe so, yeah.
There you go. Kevin, top of the board, 182.6 miles an hour. And man with 5 Nationwide Series wins at this racetrack, tied with Kyle Busch for the most. Kevin, the most recent winner here. Remember, he won the race here last November.
Yeah, I talked to Ernie Cope down in the garage. And I asked him, I said, how's Kevin's attitude? He said, oh, it's good. I said, well, then your car's probably pretty good.
Yeah. So Kevin has his spot. And here is Matt Kenseth. Back aboard, first time out for this team since Phoenix, the 2nd race of the season.
Okay, Alan, I'll repeat myself again, okay? A lot of guys are picking Matt Kenseth to win the race also. Because this is a carbon copy of the car that Kyle Busch has been kicking everybody's butt with all year long.
Ooh, look at that grab.
No, he's good.
Get it up into the green.
Oh, look at that.
I'll tell you, Matt Kenseth is really good at this racetrack, too. That's not a bad pick. Just misses getting the soul right there.
Yes, he did. 29.598 to a 29.572.
The car looks a little loose out there. He's trying to run it wide open as he possibly can. Look at it, back steer into the corner, and to get a little bit loose right there.
That's got to be fun.
Oh, I tell you, it's a nail biter. It really
take your breath, yeah. Knowing you can't let off that throttle.
They also call you a wimp.
Yeah, he slowed way down on that 2nd lap.
Yeah, I think he gave it up off turn 4 here. So Matt Kenseth, 2nd fastest, does lock himself into the field tonight. Bumps Chase Miller out. Jason White is also bumped. Michael McDowell is out of tonight's race. Austin Dillon scheduled to have just run, but that 3 car is just coming to the head of the line.
NASCAR Nationwide Series Qualifying is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Nationwide is on your side.
Kevin Harvick leads Nationwide Series qualifying here at Texas. Austin Dillon, his Richard Childress Racing teammate, is on the track. Vince, a little bit delayed from when he was supposed to run.
Well, it's been a struggle for this 3 team this weekend. They came to the track with a brand new race car that they thought was going to be the latest and greatest and possibly a winner this weekend, but they have not been good in practice. After that final practice, made some changes. Took them longer than they thought, so they ended up getting in tech line at the very back. So by the time they got up to tech and then had a couple of minor issues in tech, it really delayed them in getting out here. So nothing significant, but certainly hasn't been the kind of weekend they were hoping for.
Hey, Vince.
It looks like they turned it around.
Those changes they made worked out pretty well.
Danny Stockman, the crew chief, just took a big sigh of relief. You might have heard it.
Nice job. And you talk about the driver's car coming to the grid late, buckling in and all that. Boy, he went out there and got the job done there, huh?
Well, he did. They had him all bolted in, baby, had him ready to go. And, you know, I guess they made some big changes because he wasn't good in practice, like you said, but looking good right now.
So, new leader in qualifying, Austin Dillon, to the top of the board. So, got 2 Chevrolets in the top 2 spots. Here's a red, white, and blue Ford. Travis Pastrana behind the wheel. Conversation with Vince a little while ago. He went to Kansas Speedway to test. Carl Edwards over there to help a little bit. And really beginning, it seems like, to settle in to the routine of NASCAR racing on a week-to-week basis, what he needs to accomplish in practice and what they're trying to accomplish to get ready to race.
I see he's got a car that's pretty loose right there for qualifying, though. I'm sure he's going to be really happy with that lap, but he did come here with a lot more confidence, and I think that's what he's really needs, is just have that confidence level in himself and his own talent to go out here and push these cars to the limit.
Travis right now is 7th and shuts it down with a 1 and done. Travis is our ESPN in-race reporter for tonight's race. We'll be talking with him on the pace laps and throughout the night. Jamie?
Well, it's always interesting standing next to a driver who's on pole, and then by the time we get to him, he's 2nd, but he was bumped off by his teammate. How much of a challenge, Kevin, is it for you guys to qualify when it's so hot and you're going to race tonight?
The biggest challenge is waiting on your producer to figure out when he's going to come to the interview. But
we're creating a great show.
Yeah, that's questionable. But all in all, our Hunt Brothers Chevy has been a challenge this weekend to try and figure out exactly what the car needed, because the cars have been reasonably tight. My car was pretty tight in 3 and 4 right there. So that was a better lap than we didn't knew, because we didn't really do a qualifying run. So we'll just wait and see what happens in the race.
5 wins here, going for a 6 perhaps tonight, Alan.
All right, Jamie, thanks. So Kevin Harvick is 2nd fastest so far. A couple of people who ran during the last commercial break want to catch you up on. Johanna Long needed to lock into the field on time. Did so. Nice run.
Yep, good job. Good run.
10th fastest for Johanna. And Kevin Swindell. Remember, he came here last year and had that top 10 run, and the first time we saw him in this ride,
Pretty impressive.
looking good again.
We just talked about how fast he is in all these different racetracks. Cool car, good-looking paint scheme, and I really like his car owner.
Kevin locked himself into the field as well. Sorry, Rusty.
That's okay.
In that 98 car.
Yeah, Fred Biaggi's car.
Yeah,
Nice guy.
Yep.
Brian Vickers, 1 and done. 4th fastest. Right 1 spot behind his Joe Gibbs Racing teammate Matt Kenseth. There you see the numbers on Brian. And we're down now to 13 cars to go.
Yeah, the teams put a lot of emphasis on that race setup, and a lot of teams never even make a simulated qualifying run in practice.
Now check this out. Brad Keselowski went out there from the end of the pit lane, and instead of hammer down, get up to speed and go for it, he's out there scuffing the tires a little bit. And so he's basically saying his 1 good lap is going to be his 2nd lap, and he's going to take this whole first one to build momentum but not use the tires. If I'm explaining that right.
Yeah, I mean, you are trying to explain it right. I guess what he thinks is a little bit of heat in the tires might be good for a fast lap, but too much, like we're trying to run that 2nd lap, is not good. So he's trying something in between.
He's the only one that's done that so far. Does that make him smarter than anybody else if he gets the pole?
Hang on a minute.
Okay.
We'll get right back to it.
Get right back to it. We want to.
All right. White flag.
First lap, not so good. 31-39 on that first. It's in the green.
Want to see where he puts the car in this corner, all the way to the bottom or middle of the track. Oh, there's a wobble there.
Walking that back end around.
It'll be close. 2nd.
He's pretty smart. That's pretty smart.
182.890 miles an hour, 2nd out of 33 with now a dozen to go, Vince.
Austin Dillon, the man they're all chasing right now. Now, you guys were late to get out. You're already strapped in the car when they roll you out there and you put up the top lap. And maybe you guys will start doing this every week, huh?
I don't know. It was a little nerve-wracking there, but the Abacare Chevrolet's pretty fast. We've actually struggled pretty bad in practice, but they've done a good job putting it back together. I think we'll have something for them in the race. We just got to work hard, and I don't know if that's going to get the pole. I think it's I was too loose into 3. It left a lot of throttle out there, so we'll see.
AB?
All right, Vince, thanks. Austin Dillon being challenged here by Sam Hornish Jr.
Like Sam got a good run off of turn 4, but not quite good enough. Going to come up just a little short of Austin Dillon's lap.
Yep, second fastest for Sam. So impressive to start this season. No finish worse than 7th, and the championship leader by a pretty good margin after the opening 5 races.
Tell you what, he just looks so much different in the garage area this year. He's got so much confidence, and he's calm. Craig Irwin, his crew chief, is doing a great job getting the speed out of that number 12 car. The switch from Dodge to Ford has obviously not hurt him.
Yep.
Everything's looking pretty good for him right now.
So, championship leader Sam Hornish Jr., number 2 on the board with 11 cars to go. Here's a man who's been, besides Sam, the story of that opening 5-week run of the NASCAR Nationwide Series season, Kyle Busch. Back aboard Joe Gibbs Racing Equipment, 3 for 5 this year, and you can make the case could easily have been 5 for 5. Remember, he led a lot of laps at Daytona before they had the mechanical problem.
Well, he's having to wheel that thing through turns 1 and 2. He has a little different approach than we saw what Keselowski did. He's using that 3 and 4 on that get-up lap, almost like a speedway type qualifying run. Running real high to get the momentum and try to make this first lap his qualifying lap.
It's pretty good right here.
Yeah, he's going to have a good lap. Did it by 100th of a second.
How about that?
Oh my gosh, that was close.
Kyle Busch, top of the board. He's already won 2 pole positions this year in 4 qualifying sessions. We'll see if this holds up to make it 3 for 5. 183.187 miles an hour for Kyle Busch. Of course, Kyle, a 5-time winner in Nationwide Series competition here at Texas Motor Speedway. All 5 of those in a row. Can he add number 6 and break that tie with Kevin Harvick atop the nationwide win rankings at the Great American Speedway? 300 miles tells the story tonight on ESPN2, starting with NASCAR Countdown at 8 Eastern Time. We've also got it for you live on Watch ESPN.
Got a stacked field tonight, though. He's going to have his hands full.
So, Alan, who do you think I'm going to pick to win this race tonight?
Are we looking at him?
Oh. Maybe.
Can't wait to find out on Countdown.
That's right.
There's time to reconsider. Watch how the rest of the qualifying plays out, right? Mike Bliss showing some speed in this 19 car in practice.
And talk about a guy who qualifies good all the time. You get the most out of a car. Bliss. I used to watch him in the truck series, was bullet fast in this nationwide series.
Yep.
Same thing, always qualifies this car well.
And you see all those clean white quarter panels and hood on this car, an underdog.
Real tight on floor.
But they get the most out of everything they've got every week.
10th quick.
Mike Bliss. Very nice. Kyle Busch on top of the board. He's got to wait out 9 more, though. Who all posted faster laps in one or the other practice session than Kyle did.
This guy's amazing in this series, what he's done and what he continues to do this season especially. I mean, like you said, he could have won all 5 races.
Here is Justin Allgaier, and there is a telemetry problem on this car, so we won't be able to track his laps live as he runs. Allgaier and the Turner Scott team came and tested here at Texas Motor Speedway, along with the Junior Motorsports team during the 2-week break, and feel like they learned a lot of things.
It seems like it's helped them. I talked to a few of the crew chiefs on the Turner Scott team, and they feel like they've learned some things about these high-speed racetracks, mile-and-a-half tracks, and it's going to carry over and show up here.
Allgaier will be 8th with that lap. 29.73, fast times at 29.47. Still very solid for Justin Allgaier.
Way too tight. And
one of the things that they're anticipating tonight is the track getting freer. So you see a lot of these cars may be a little bit too tight for a good qualifying run. anticipating that the car is going to change as the track cools off.
But again, Nationwide Series rules, you can only change a few things between qualifying and the start of the race. Brad Keselowski's with Jamie.
And he's 4th on the board right now. So we noticed, as you mentioned, he threw away the first lap and took your time on the second lap. What's up with that change up in your strategy?
I just get bored every once in a while. You know, us race car drivers, I've been around Clip Boyer a lot lately, and I just, you know, I can't stay focused. So I figured let's try something different.
Okay, did it work for you in your opinion?
Well, I mean, I'm not on the pole, so I guess not. But I tried something, and I feel good about it.
And you're not bored anymore. Good job. Brad Keselowski's 4th right now, Alan.
You got a watch hanging out with Clint Boyer. No telling what he'll learn.
Nelson Piquet Jr.
We're kind of watching Nelson Piquet Jr. in practice today. Watched him come in, and he didn't look happy. He was really working hard in that car, looked a little upset, was talking a lot to his crew chief, trying to get some more speed out of this car.
I talked to his crew chief quite a bit during the practice, and they're struggling with the car being loose into the corner, tight in the middle, and loose off. And that's really hard to fix, and it's very frustrating for the whole team. Vince?
You know, we talk about the importance of qualifying up front because that's where the winners typically come from here in Phoenix. Kyle Busch qualified 31st and won here in 2008, so much for that philosophy, but you're much better than 31st today. How's that car been this weekend?
The Monster Energy Camry's been great this weekend. Adam and the guys have done a nice job, and it's been a little weird to drive sometimes, you know, just through the corners the way it's been handling. It's kind of uncharacteristic of what I felt last year with my cars, but it's fast, so it seems to be working. You just kind of drive through it what you can anyways, and qualifying lap was a bit interesting, but, you know, it was fast and kept my foot in it, so, you know, really good run for us there, and should be a good pit selection.
Yeah, he's fast everywhere. Texas, no exception, that's for sure here tonight.
5-time winner. Looking for already his 4th victory of this young season, Kyle Busch, and right now he's on the pole. But 7 more to go, including Elliott Sadler.
Way too tight, way too tight.
You've heard that comment a few times today.
That'll be 7th for Elliott as he shuts it down after his one and only lap.
Andy, I tell you, it's what's coming out of these drivers' mouths is so much different from what I've been accustomed to hearing. Every single time you would qualify at Texas, everybody was loose, loose, loose. Now I'm hearing tight, tight, tight out almost all of them. Why is that?
Well, I mean, they got a new tire. Goodyear brought a little tougher right side tire here, so they're struggling with that. This track keeps aging a little bit. Don't have a real good answer for you, but there's a couple.
Well, I'll take it. I mean,
anticipating the night as well.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. They do have these cars set up for a really cool racetrack tonight.
And temperature's going to drop a bunch over the course of that race tonight once the sun sets. And there is a little cool front coming through also. So it's going to drop a lot by the time the money laps really come at the end of that race tonight.
So you notice I didn't know the answer, so I said, you're the crew chief. You give me the answer, right? Put it all back on you.
Trevor Bayne, last time he drove a Nationwide Series race at this track, he took home the trophy.
He needs it again. He's had a decent year, but he needs to pep it up a little bit.
And of course, going to have to go into the race tonight without his crew chief, Mike Kelly, just joining us. Mike taking ill this afternoon and is going to sit this one out. Seth Barber will move over from crew chiefing the 16 car back to the 16 where he's normally the engineer. He'll call the race tonight for Trevor, and Robbie Reiser will call the race for Chris Buescher in the 16, according to the folks at Roush Fenway Racing.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Rusty. This team really does need to pick it up a little bit. I think that the Gibbs teams, now with Kyle back aboard driving the car, I think the Childress team, some of these other Chevrolet teams have gained a lot. And it doesn't seem like the Roush teams have kept up with that pace as well. They're still good. They're just not at the top where they were last year.
Well, Trevor Bayne took the second lap. The first one was quicker. He's 10th out of 40 at the moment with now 5 cars to go. And by the way, bumped from the race, Scott Riggs, Joey Gase, Chase Miller, Jason White, and Michael McDowell. Those drivers will be the 5 that will not get a chance to race tonight. Dale Earnhardt Jr.
That's another one of the Chevrolet teams I was talking about that have gained some since last year. They've made a lot of changes over there at Junior Motorsports. Seems to have paid off pretty good. He's 8th quick so far.
Junior, 8th fastest lap at a place where he has achieved some pretty significant milestones in his NASCAR career. Of course, first win in the NASCAR Nationwide Series at this racetrack, 1998. First win in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at this racetrack as well.
Well, Dad there at the window and victory lane of both of them. Yep. Cup race, nationwide race. Real proud of that kid. He's been doing a really great job.
Dale Jr. in the field for tonight. Star-packed field for this nationwide race here in Texas. Expected to be a very competitive, very hard-fought race.
Did I call him a kid? He's not a kid no more, is he? I'm used to when he just first started. You look back at Texas when Dale Jr. won that race here. He was a kid back then.
Yeah.
This is a fast kid. This is Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, he has really got some talent.
Impressed just about every place.
Yep. You see he's running a different line. He's up the racetrack quite a bit off turn 4. Whatever it takes to keep that speed up. A decent lap.
The 20-year-old Californian, 9th fastest.
It's a little slower than his practice lap. He did do a simulated qualifying run in practice.
182.180 miles an hour for Kyle Larson. Has him a spot in the top 10, but still 3 cars to go. Impressive. Almost seems like an inadequate description of the start of the season for Larson. He has really been something. Kyle Busch looking on. Will the lap hold up for pole position through these final 3? Another reason for Kyle to look on.
Yeah, he'll be watching this qualifying run. This is his car that he owns, Parker Kligerman.
And they've kind of quietly had a pretty solid start to the season.
They have. They did something the last race in California. They gambled and took their last set of tires, where a lot of teams saved theirs for a late caution that never came. Paid off for Parker. Came back and finished 3rd in that one.
He had made it through the big crash at Daytona. Had a pretty good run down there, too. So he's been doing a good job driving his car. And obviously, he's got a lot of help from Kyle about how to drive and things to do. He's a good teacher there.
Solid lap, 6th fastest out of 43 for the Connecticut native, Kligerman from Westport, Connecticut. And just 22 years old.
It's a great qualifying run.
Yeah, you can see just how close these qualifying times are.
Talk about the solid job this season, the top 5 at Daytona, the troubles at Vegas.
4th at California.
They were running fairly well at Vegas, had something break on the car. That's the result of the 30th, but then top 2 the last couple of weeks.
We said that gamble really paid off for them.
Yep.
The last race, if they keep doing that, car seems to be getting better every week.
So if Kyle Larson has been impressive, have to apply that tag to this young man as well, Alex Bowman.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this guy's been really good. I talked to him in the garage area today, and I said, Alex, where in the world did you come from, buddy? You've been quiet. You've been running good. He said, Rusty, I drove midgets. I drove sprint cars. I drove in the K&N Series in 11. I run ARCA. I've been around. I just been quiet. But boy, I got a good car now. Joe Gibbs racing engines under the hood.
Look at this right now. Look at this. He's still in the green. I talked to Chris Rice. He said when they unloaded this car for practice, they were like a 1.5 seconds off to start with. Look how much this kid's gained since then. Wow, what a lap.
On top of the board. Alex Bowman to the top, bumping Kyle Busch from the #1 spot with 1 more driver yet to run.
That's impressive.
Alan, I'm surprised. I knew he was good, but you're waiting for a young guy like this to shine and really pop something that's great out there, and this kid just did it for me.
You know, Rusty, I think the difference is between these kids now and when you came up through the ranks, these kids have been racing since they were 5 years old.
Yep.
You know, with the go-karts and the Legends cars and all that other stuff now, these kids start racing at 5 years old, where you started racing at 16.
That's true. And that's true, but I tell you, I'm really impressed. I'm almost speechless right now. I really think he did a great job. I had a good time talking to him today and him telling me where he came from.
Yep.
This makes sense now, but he's been quiet, you know?
New sponsor on board the car, Bowman on pole, but 1 more driver on the track. Regan Smith, fastest lap in both the practice sessions. Will it be the fastest lap right now? He's got some work to do, according to the tracker.
What a story if Alex Bowman can hold on for the pole here at Texas.
Looks like he's done it. Don't think that Regan Smith can pick up if he runs a 2nd lap. The 6th quickest.
Smith's out of the gas. That's it. 6th for Regan Smith, and 19-year-old Alex Bowman is going to win the pole position at Texas Motor Speedway.
That's incredible.
Wow. I consider Texas one of the majors.
Yeah.
Talk about Daytona, Charlotte Motor Speedway, Texas Motor Speedway, and he's on the pole, in my opinion, at one of the major events.
Talked to Chris Rice, like I said, his crew chief, and he said when they unloaded that car that he was way off, but they struggled a lot in the first practice session. Look what he's done.
How about that?
That is incredible.
So while we wait for Bowman to unbuckle and climb out, let's take a look at how they'll start tonight for 300 miles here in Texas.
2 Toyotas on the front row. We know Kyle Busch is going to be fast.
Yeah, and Austin Dillon, they seem to help their car quite a bit. They struggled in practice, qualified at second row, right there in third spot.
I'm looking at Matt Kenseth, too, in that 5th row, Alan. He's going to be fast tonight.
Look at the list. Hornish, Keselowski, Harvick, Kenseth, on down. Junior, Larson. I mean, what a field.
Looks like the start of the Daytona 500 or something. These guys are strong in this field tonight.
There's Travis Pastrana, our ESPN in-race reporter for tonight. ESPN.com's NASCAR page. Keywords in-race reporter if you'd like to suggest a question. And the rest of the starting grid for tonight's Nationwide Series 300-miler here in Texas. The man at the top of that scoreboard is with Jamie.
Alex Bowman, under the weather, had to get some fluids earlier today, and of all people to knock off the pole, it's Kyle Busch. How did you put it all together?
I think it all gets put together with this race car back at the shop. Everybody at RAB Racing does an awesome job. It's been a lot of fun to drive for them. Chris Rice and Robbie Benton have put together a heck of a team, and it's awesome. First week with a new sponsor with School Tip Line. It's such a great cause, and to get them on the pole is really cool. So I'm feeling pretty bad. I've had IVs in me all day, so just got to go run 300 miles and hopefully keep it up front.
You can hear it in his voice, but it is his first pole in NASCAR, Alex Bowman. Alan.
What a story, Jamie. And can he hold off all those stars in the field and get his first win tonight here at the Great American Speedway? We find out starting at 8 Eastern Time with NASCAR Countdown on ESPN2, then 300 miles of Nationwide Series racing from this super fast track, a super field. We expect a very competitive and exciting race. Sports Center is next. Alex Bowman, the 19-year-old, going to lead the field to the green tonight in Texas. He beats Kyle Busch for the pole position.